Hi, my name is Ben Cody, and today I'm here to help you get a better understanding of some of the more complex aspects of estate planning involving retirement accounts, specifically the 10-year rule and the difference between a conduit trust and an accumulation trust. Let's start with the 10-year rule, which came into play with the Secure Act in 2019. So what's the big deal? Well, before the Secure Act, beneficiaries of retirement accounts could stretch their required minimum distributions over their lifetime. This allowed them to minimize taxes and let the funds grow tax deferred for decades. The Secure Act changed all that for most beneficiaries. Now, if you inherit an IRA or a 401k and you're not a surviving spouse or a specific type of beneficiary like a minor child or somebody with a disability, you're likely subject to the 10-year rule. Under this rule, you don't have to take any distributions in years 1 through 9, but you must empty the account by the end of year 10. So let's go through a quick example to make this clear. If you inherit $500,000 in an IRA and wait until year 10 to take the entire $500,000, you could take a big tax hit because you're now at the highest end of the tax bracket. Or you could spread it out over the course of 10 years, taking $50,000 in each year, which might make more sense from a tax perspective. So let's move on to the discussion about the trusts that we use in this context. One is called an accumulation trust and the other is called a conduit trust. Let's start with the conduit trust. These are pretty straightforward. If you name a conduit trust as the beneficiary of a retirement account, the trustee is required to immediately distribute any money they receive from the account to the trust beneficiary. So if the IRA pays out $50,000 in RMDs in a given year, the trustee passes that directly to the beneficiary. Conduit trusts are great if your goal is to make sure that the money goes directly to your loved one, but there's a catch, especially after the Secure Act and its 10-year rule. If your trust beneficiary is someone who doesn't manage money well or has creditor issues, a conduit trust might not be the best idea. The money goes straight to them, and once it's in their hands, it could be lost to poor financial decisions or their creditors. Now let's talk about accumulation trusts. These offer a lot more control, and with an accumulation trust, the trustee doesn't have to distribute the money from the IRA to the beneficiary right away. The trustee can hold the funds in the trust and decide when or if the beneficiary will receive distributions. This can be especially useful if you're worried about your beneficiary being a spendthrift or if you want to protect their assets from creditors or even a divorce. But of course, nothing comes without a downside. When the trust keeps the funds, they are taxed at the trust's income tax rate, which is generally much higher than the individual tax rate. So while you might be gaining some control and protection, you might also be paying a lot more in taxes. Here's another example. Let's say you leave $1 million in an IRA to an accumulation trust. The trustee could decide to distribute $50,000 a year to the beneficiary for living expenses and hold the rest in the trust. While this protects the money, any income retained by the trust is subject to the higher tax rate of roughly 40%. So what's the right choice for you? Well, it depends on your goals and the beneficiary's needs. If you want the simplicity of passing assets directly and avoiding high trust tax rates, conduit trust might be right. If you need more control on how your beneficiary gets the money and you're okay with potentially higher taxes, an accumulation trust might be the better option. Either way, with the 10-year rule in place, planning for how retirement accounts are passed on has become more critical than ever. It's always good to consult with a professional who understands both the legal and the tax implications to make sure that your estate plan reflects your wishes. Thanks for joining me today. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe for more estate planning tips and drop any questions you have in the comments below. I'm happy to answer them and I'm happy to help. Thanks, and I look forward to talking to you soon.